Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to another of our editions, Cast the Stars. We're talking from Eureka Estate today, and we're meeting one of the foremost HR practitioners in Zambia. She's been in the industry for over 30 years, and she's been a leader, creating space, understanding the industry of HR, and helping women to be capacitated into leadership. She's a leader in her own right, and she has been a leader for such a long time, serving on the boards of several organizations, and we're here to talk to her. Her name is Namchana Catherine Musiwa, and we welcome you, Catherine, to Namchana. Thank you for joining us on Stars to Start.
Thank you, Pastor Jolomi, and good evening, viewers.
It is interesting to know that you have been a practitioner for over 30 years. That means in the past 30 years you have been putting people, capacitating, building people, taking care of people, the workforce of different organizations, understanding the human being and human productivity. And you yourself have sat on many boards. You sit on the board of Bank of Zambia, you sit on the board of Professional Insurance of Longhorn, on Premium Medical Services and Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection. So that means you're a woman of capacity and capability, and you have been serving our nation in that space. Today we are talking to you as a woman leader, a woman that has defied the odds, that has pushed the barriers, that has broken the glass ceiling to show that women can do it as good as everybody, and sometimes, if not a lot of times, better.
Yes.
And we often have put women down. Culturally, normatively, we have said women are da-da-da, but want to bring this out. So we are having Scars to Stars to show. Scars because most people don't know the challenges women go through. You know, she has to take care of her home, she has to take care of children, she has to take care of her husband, yet she has to be an executive and be on the board. But the man just has to wake up, get into the car and go to the office. So we call it scars, but they are performing and they are excelling and they are stars in their right. And oftentimes we put them at par, but her challenges are far more. So we know you have been through that, and we want to ask, how have you walked on your leadership journey? We hope to even hear from you, being a HR expert you are. What do women face? Occupationally, professionally, that is hidden from us. We don't see that. They come up looking nice, facing the challenges. But we'll start with you. Where did Namchana start from? Who is she? How come she is this colossus in HR?
Thank you very much, Pastor Jolomi, and I appreciate this invitation to come and have this discussion with you. I'll begin from way back. I was born 55 years ago in a town called Chingola, which I'm very passionate about, and was once the cleanest town in Zambia. So I was born on the 11th of September 1965, and I'm one of the few women who are happy to disclose my age. I know women are shy about disclosing their age, but I tell my friends that, look, when you die, and your life history is being read, the first line that they read is, she was born in, and you don't want to get shocked. And anyway, the people can calculate, they look at how many years you've worked. When you say 30 years experience, somebody who's 16 years school, or maybe even 18, and you do the mathematics. But really, I was born 55 years ago, I'm turning 56 in September. I'm the first born in a family of 13.
Wow.
We lost my immediate young sister, but the other siblings are still alive. And I went to school at the Sacred Heart Convent in Chingola. My father was a middle class person who was working in the mines as a mine police officer, and his income was average those days. And when he sent me to a fee-paying school, his colleagues at work were laughing at him and saying, "Oh, Musiwa is sending a girl to a fee-paying school. He'll be disappointed because this girl, when she's in puberty, will just get pregnant and get married, is wasting money." But Dad still sent me to that school, and I did grade 1 to grade 7 and passed to go to secondary school. I went to secondary school at Chingola Secondary School in Chingola, Chingora Secondary School is a co-education school and a day school. I really wanted to go to a boarding like Ibenga or Fatima, but I was 12 when I finished grade 7. And Dad, and being firstborn, maybe Dad is girl as well, Dad didn't want me to be far from home. And he kept saying, oh no, you're young, you're going in Form 3. We're doing forms then. In 1982, I sat for grade 12, for Form 5 then.
Form 5.
School leaving examinations. And our results in 1982 were the best results for the school in 8 years.
Wow.
The last time that the school had recorded, good results, sending, a number of pupils to the university was 1974. Okay. So in 1982, I was among 19 pupils who were selected to go to the University of Zambia in Lusaka. There were 18 boys. That's the only girl.
Wow. And
believe me, Pastor, I had no idea what I wanted to study at the university. I knew what I wanted to become.
18 boys, 1 girl.
18 boys, 1 girl, 19. And previously would have maybe 5 people going to universities, 10, not more than 10 in a normal year before the, before
So the results were so good.
The results were very good. And when I got to the university, initially, I'd wanted to be a pilot. And the reason why I wanted to be a pilot was because I couldn't, there were no female pilots at that time. And I thought, wow, why can't I be the first female pilot? And when I arrived at the university, I discovered that you cannot study to fly at the university.
Yes.
There was Zasti.
Yes.
Those days you could go to there and fly. I had a cousin who was a pilot who inspired me a lot, Waluka Mkoni. And Waluka said, but why do you want to be a pilot? There's nothing special about flying a plane. The only difference is, it's like driving a car. Yeah. The only difference is you have up there and the car is on the road. So I thought, well, I used to admire a broadcaster called Dino Tulwinda on Zambia Broadcasting Services, then ZBS. And she would speak and with a lot of confidence, and I would say, wow, I would like to be a broadcaster. But again, there wasn't even mass communication that time at the university, so I couldn't study to be a broadcaster. I needed guidance, and then they looked at my results, and as ushered into the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, at first I thought I would study law, but I must admit I've been a lazy person where reading is concerned. I don't read much, and I looked at the books in law, jurisprudence, and volumes of thick books. I said, no, I don't think this is for me. So I pursued public administration as a major and economics as a minor. And at the university, funny enough, the first person I became a friend to, a girl called Nora Toto, we met on the queue for registration on day 1. And as we were chatting, we compared our backgrounds. As coming from Chingola, 18 boys, 1 girl. I asked her where she came from. She said, I'm from Chipata. It was a Chipata day. How many are you? She says, we are 13. 12 boys, 1 girl. Wow. And that's how we. So
we've come a long way since 82.
Yes.
12 boys, 1 girl, 18 boys, 1 girl. Things are fairly better now, isn't it?
Yes, they are. So we met and became friends, and that's how I went through 4 years of university, 4.5 if I add the 6 months when we closed after a riot. And in 3rd year is when I started focusing on what I really wanted to do. I didn't major in economics, although I wanted to major in economics, but I found I developed passion for personnel management. So in 3rd and 4th year, I did some courses in personnel management. And I thought I would probably, and public administration, and I thought I would probably work in a local authority or somewhere. But after finishing, after graduating from the university, I finished 1987, and 1988 was our graduation. And those days, Pastor, it was very easy to get a job. Of course, at that time, employers would sometimes even come to the university to recruit. The banks would recruit management trainees straight from the university. And you apply, it didn't take long for you to be called for an interview. I remember starting work at a small company called Macworld Engineering. And when I joined, I thought, well, as I wait for something bigger, let me work for this institution. I joined as personnel and administrative officer. And after a few months, as I received an offer from an insurance company and another one from the government, from a government department. I compared the packages, and I thought the one with the private firm was more attractive, and they had offered me, within 1 year, they offered me a car, a Fiat 127.
Okay.
And I thought, well, it's a small organization, but I was very busy doing different things. I was doing personnel work, I was even doing accounting work, basic accounts, and I was even learning about fabrication.
Okay.
Within the first 6 months, the person who was running Macworld Engineering, Mr. ISP Patel, had a brother who had started a construction firm called Prince Construction Company, and they asked me to work for both of them, and I thought it was a good challenge, and I took it up. And at that time, I thought they are abusing me, and they're overworking me, and underpaying me, and all that, because I was doing a lot of work. I started to even learn about, I knew basics about construction, because I'd go to a construction site to probably speak to the workers, or go and pay out advances, salary advances, so that productivity is not affected by the worker leaving the site and coming to the office to get an advance. So at the time, I thought these people are overworking me. But later, I appreciated when I went to work on my own. I realized they were preparing me to run a business.
It was training.
I'm a human resource professional, but I'm able to I can do bank reconciliations, I can read the financial statements to a limited extent. I can, if I'm building, I built the house that I live in.
Oh, wow.
And there's no painter who can cheat me and say I want 50 tins of 5-liter tins of paint and so forth, because I have a rough idea of some of the requirements. Of course, sometimes you get people who cheat and want to exploit you and so forth. But I appreciate the experience that I gained from Prince Construction and Macworld Engineering.
A lot of people, therefore, do not benefit when they complain that work is too much. So at that time, you will think the work is a lot. But later on, you come to see the benefits from what you've learned, the exposure, and the disciplines it brings that you carry into your other ventures.
It builds your attributes and builds your skills. And I'm a person who loves to work, actually. It's now that I'm aging, maybe I'm slowing down, but I would find work a challenge. I have an assignment, I want to complete it in the shortest possible time.
Okay.
So I found having two superiors at the same time challenging. And I was quite young then. I was in my 20s and already supervising people. And I think for me, being in the construction industry is male dominated. And I was, normally there would be 2 or 3 females in the organization. When I joined, the only other female was the secretary. And you'd find everybody else is male. So I got used to working with in such male-dominated sectors from a young age. So I worked for Prince Construction for 5 years, and then I decided to venture elsewhere, and got a job on the Copper Belt for both Longier, Zambia. Both Longier is an Anglo-American firm. I joined both as personnel and administration officer, and it was a bigger position, a bigger role, as well as more responsibilities. And I thought moving from Lusaka to Quito was exciting. I was there for 3 years, and after 3 years, my former managing director at Prince started phoning me to come back. Can you come back? Come and join us. So he convinced me, and I came back. And during the time that I was at Prince at Port Longier, I must admit I think that's where my perception towards a number of things in life changed. I came across a concept called total quality management. And that is what has shaped the way I think and the way
Where did you pick that up from?
From Boat Longier.
Boat Longier.
when I joined board, I found they had a TQM philosophy as an organization, and it was part of the way culture.
Okay.
Whoever joined board had to undergo what we call the quality education seminar.
Brilliant.
As part of your induction. And when I was told that I needed to go to, because I was based in Kitwe at the drilling division, I was supposed to go to Ndora for 3 days at the head office to go and undergo a seminar on quality. I looked at the human resource manager then, Mr. Smwinga, and said, Mr. Smwinga, do you know that I'm a graduate from the University of Zambia? I've spent 16 and a half years in school. Don't you think I know what quality means? And he says, look, it's not debatable. It's not an issue over which you can even decide whether to do it or not. It's a policy. You have to undergo the seminar. Otherwise, you have no place here. You won't be confirmed.
Because it's culture.
So that's how I reluctantly underwent that seminar. And believe me, at the end of one day, my eyes were opened. I just thought, wow, there are so many things I had assumed that were not what they were. There are so many things I knew and I was reminded of that I knew them but never took them seriously. So that exposure to quality really made me start thinking differently. Because quality teaches you to question the status quo, and it pushes you to want to improve things every day. And I learned that quality is not an accident.
No.
It's not something you do when you have time. You undergo a transformation. It's more like Christianity. Because when you are quality conscious, you give quality to everybody you come across.
That's right.
You demand quality from everyone, and you incorporate it in your way of life. Same thing as Christianity. When you're a Christian, you're not a Christian only on Sundays or Saturday if you're SDA,
yes.
or if you're in the company of other Christians. You are a Christian wherever you go. In the same way, quality is something you take with you. Yeah. So I'm very, very passionate about quality, and I became so obsessed with it to a level where the company now made me one of the trainers.
Okay.
And that's where I learned to train. 30 years ago, I could never speak before an audience. I was shy, I would stammer, I just lacked confidence. So when I became exposed to TQM and believed in it, I thought, this is so good, I need to share this. How do I spread the good news? When I came back to Prince Construction, I had a conversation with my superior and said, can we teach our staff TQM? And he agreed, and that's how I started being an advocate, or a disciple, if you like, for TQM. And whoever I come across, I would share about total quality management. My household, excuse me, knows about TQM. At least they know the basics. There's some things I would get so irritated if, I'm sure you do as well, and this is quite common. You want to have a shima. And it's late in the evening, you had a long day, you want shima, and somebody says, oh, there's no minimum. And TQM teaches you to plan. Where were you when the minimum was running low? You should have told me 3 or 4 days before. So we incorporate all those values in.
So it's most likely that when you go to places, people may think you are fastidious for things, and they think they will say you are difficult.
Yes,
it's just
I've come across that. And even where I've been, like the time that I was president of the Human Resources Institute, I would have situations where somebody would say, look, we've had this conference, and everybody is saying it's been excellent, but how come you are picking, the wrong things that we did or didn't do?
Yeah.
And I'm like that. I pick out, even in a situation that appears perfect, I would pick out some things that are not correct, and I would speak about them. If I'm not happy in a place, I would let the supervisor or the manager know. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm human. I make mistakes, but I love to make corrections and to learn.
You have an eye for quality,
yes,
and efficiency,
yes,
which is what TQM is really.
And I love to do things as fast as I can. Of course, I'm slowing down now.
You said so.
But I love to do things fast and I like to multitask. I can do several projects at once, and I thank God for that. And some of my friends think I am too fast. I speak fast. I've slowed down now. I drive fast.
Okay.
I cook fast. So I'm cooking. I mean, I'll do several, things at once.
So that discipline has permeated everything you do.
Yes.
And you deliver quality
and
results.
Because, I try to. Of course, sometimes you depend on others as well. And sometimes if somebody lets you down, you let other people down. And then sometimes I take on too much. I think now I say no to certain things because you can't do everything.
Okay.
So because of the speed at which I do things, some of my friends gave me a nickname. They call me DHL.
Okay.
They call me DHL. So anyway, so I worked for Prince again. I came back for 3 years. And then during my work at Prince Construction, I met a friend who's been on this show as well, Kalongo Chitengi.
Yeah.
So she introduced me to business.
Okay.
To running a business. She invited me to join her, run a firm called Line Management. And at Line, we're doing landscaping, we're doing estate management, we're also doing consultancy work. It was at Line that we did a big recruitment for game stores. When Monday opened, we recruited for game. So I worked with Kalongo for about 2 years. And then yes, after 2 years, I set up on my own. I set a company called Career Prospects Limited in 2001. And Career Prospects does recruitment. I believe firmly in the potential of everyone. Every human being, as far as I'm concerned, has value that they can add if they are given an opportunity. And even in families, we have certain people that are probably naughty and they are troublemakers. Even that troublemaker has something that they are probably the only one who can do it.
Yeah.
Each one has a gift. And I believe as managers, we need to discover those gifts and bring them out. I didn't know I could lecture or facilitate training or even inspire another person until Mr. Pietsuale, who I look up to so much. Mr. Pietsuale, Leonard Nirongo runs Insight Consulting in Kitwe. Then Mr. Pietsuale was our managing director of board. He's the one who said, Namchana, you can, in fact, call me Kathy, because I was using Kathy so much then. Kathy, you can do this. Can you prepare a talk on TQM and motivation? And I said, look, I can't. How do I make a presentation? So he encouraged me to believe in myself, and also gave me an opportunity to speak in front of people. And so because of that, I also try to encourage others. I know that many employers would want to have somebody come with 2 years experience, 3 years experience before they give them a job. But at Career Prospects, we recruit even, fresh graduates from colleges and universities, and to allow them the opportunity to build that experience. Yeah. And I'm happy to see them, grow and live and even go into bigger institutions. And I look back with pride when I see some of the few that I've helped to develop.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's how we set up Career Prospects. 2001, and a few years later, in 2000, in about 10 years later, in 29 years, in 2010, that's 2009. 2009, I decided to run for president for the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management. I was a member of that professional body, and the reason why I decided to run for president was because I wanted to make a difference. I'm one of the people who don't like to condemn without providing a solution. So I felt the Human Resource Institute could have greater impact because we manage the most important resource, and yet when you look at some institutions, they don't really consider human resource as an important function in an organization. And back then we had personnel officer was probably the highest level handling HR, and in bigger organizations you'd have a personnel manager, but you'd find personnel manager and chief accountant or finance manager are not at the same level. The personnel manager would be lower. and sometimes they even report into another function. They report to maybe finance. And I thought, why can't I contribute by, first of all, inspiring HR professionals, and then making it, creating an impact where HR is looked at as an important function in an organization. So when I ran for president, I had so many people saying different things. Others saying, oh no, you're young, why don't you wait until maybe the next term? Or no, you can't start from president, you've never been in the council, why don't you start as secretary or councillor? And when we're doing our manifestos on the day, there were 4 of us standing for president. And at some point I even grew cold feet and I thought, oh, maybe I'm being overambitious. But somebody said, no, go ahead and do it. And one person among the 4 even said, how can you climb a tree from branches? You can't climb from leaves, actually, not even branches. How can you climb from the leaves? You can't climb from the leaves. So I felt I could do it. And to those who were saying I should be secretary or councillor, I said, look, I have a vision. And I'll only drive the vision if I'm in the driving seat.
That's right.
And I'll go for president, let the members decide. And that's the time Obama was becoming president in America as well. Okay. And I thought, well, when you look at age, it's Obama. How old is Obama? Obama is, young as well. So that's how I felt the conviction, and I said I want to contribute, and I'll contribute better in the driving seat, and that's how I stood for president. And I managed, I won, and I thank those who voted for me.
That is fantastic.
So I became the first female president of the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management. And a few months later, my father fell ill. I was very, very close to my dad, being firstborn, and I think he made a lot of sacrifice for me to get an education. So when he fell ill, I thought duty bound to look after him. So he was at the village, but I brought him to Lusaka, and for 1.5 years I looked after him, and sadly he passed on on 31st October 2010. And after my father's demise, business was difficult, because for 1.5 years I really couldn't focus. I couldn't do much consultancy, I couldn't do proposals, and so it affected the business. Okay. And my presidency at the institute also affected my work. Yeah, so my work suffered. Why? Because I'm a person who puts in a lot. If I'm assigned to do something, I try to put in everything. So sometimes certain things suffer. So I felt I needed an income, and that's how I looked for a job. And fortunately, God blessed me with a job with the International Labour Organization. So I joined ILO as a national program manager for a project called the Low Growth Nexus. I was there for 2.5 months. It was a 2-year project. So after ILO, in fact, before ILO, while I was still at Career Prospects, I started writing in the paper, because I felt, like I said earlier, people needed to know about total quality. Some knew, but you learn about it maybe as part of a degree, and you just shelve it.
Not a practitioner.
You are not using that knowledge. In institutions, I come across core values. One of them would be quality, but people really don't pay attention to it. They pay lip service to it. So I said, okay, fine. How can I, apart from, I can only train if I'm given maybe a training job by an institution, but if people don't come for the workshops, how can they learn about TQM? And that's how I thought, let me do as much as I can. And I went to the Post newspapers to ask if I could run a column in the paper, and I managed to get a weekly column. And at first I thought, in fact, Edem Jokote encouraged me to do that, and Reverend Walter Mwambazi also. He said, you know what, if you want free marketing and publicity, run a column in the paper. And I said, column means every week you're writing.
That's right.
What will I write about? No, you can write. So I started writing about customer service. In the Post was called Customer Focus and was printed every Tuesday. And then I ran it for 8 years. and then later, and how I would get material or what to write about. So the general things, timekeeping, courtesy, handling difficult customers and things like that. If I go to a hotel or restaurant and I'm treated badly, I would write about it. And normally I would leave out the name of the company, of course. But if it's very bad, I would even write the name of the hotel. So I wrote for 8 years, ran that column for 8 years, and then stopped for a while because the post had run out of space. Then my fans, my readers, the ardent readers said, no, well, we missed your column, can you continue? So I thought, let me try the Zambia Daily Mail. So I went to Daily Mail and I was lucky to get the column. And again, I ran it for about 7 years, every week. So running that column and being president of the Human Resource Institute and working for the UN exposed me. I think that's what built my profile.
Okay.
And then added to that my philosophy, my belief in total quality management. So after that, that's when I started receiving, invitations to sit on boards and invitations to run some training. Some of the appointments to the boards came through the institute, the Human Resource Institute. Okay. They would receive a letter from an institution asking them to nominate some names of people to sit on the boards. So after finishing the contract at the UN at ILO, I went back to running my firm, Career Prospects, and that's when now I started getting busy with boards. I sat on the Zambia Health Education Communication Trust in the very, the very primary time after finishing, after going back to the company. I also sat on a committee of NAPSA, the Appointments and Remuneration Committee of NAPSA. I sat on the Appointments and Remuneration for the National Airports Corporation, Zambia Airports Corporation. Then I also sat on a committee at the Zambia Tourism Board, then which is now Tourism Agency. Then my first board appointment was professional insurance.
Okay.
Okay, second. The first was Zambia Health Education and Communication Trust. The second was professional insurance, where as a board member, I still am serving on the board.
Yeah.
And I head the Human Resource Committee, then also sit on the Audit and Finance Committee. I also got appointed to the committee under Zambia National Building Society, the Human Resource Committee. But after Bank of Zambia appointed me to sit on the main board, I had to step down because Building Society is a financial institution supervised by the Bank of Zambia. I must mention that before my appointment to the board of Bank of Zambia, I served as a member of the Committee of Appointments and Remuneration for about 2 years. And after that, I was also appointed, before Bank of Zambia, I was the first board chairperson of the Zambia Qualifications Authority in 2014 and served for one term of 3 years. While I was serving as chairperson of SACWA, I was also appointed to chair the caretaker committee of the University of Zambia, which is more like the council of the University of Zambia, which I chaired for 5 years, from 2015 up to June 2020. And I can't even remember now the years, I think 2 years ago, I was appointed to ZCTR, the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, as a trustee of the board, and later became vice chairperson of that board. Then I also served on Longhorn Associates as the vice chairperson of the board. I'm very passionate about the empowerment of girls and mentoring of girls. So in January 2019, I met her in September 2018, Alena Simo from Kenya. She was in Kenya then, but she's Ugandan. And I met her, and we talked about empowering girls and young ladies. Allen was introduced to me by a colleague from ILO, Belinda Chanda. And we thought it would be good to start. They had already started this program with the at Harvard University for mentoring girls. It's called Girls for Girls, and it's a global program. So we introduced Girls for Girls in January 2019 with a view to prepare girls for leadership, mentor them, coach them, build their confidence, and prepare them for leadership in any area, in politics, in business, in religion, and even in private,
spaces. Oh, that's such a rich work history and rich work experience. And to my knowledge, as limited as may be, I haven't seen so many women sit in so many boards. You've been on so many boards. Therefore, you could even say this person probably has a career of being on boards. Because that is what your work has shown us. What do you learn being in the boardroom, being in the space where with career prospects you've been recruiting for over 20 years? What is the challenge women face aspiring or coming into the executive office, the board office? Why don't we have the 50-50? Looking at you from this very privileged position where you are looking into spaces and you've been part of decision making on a lot of them, why is women leadership, even though we have capacity, why are we still not at parity?
I think it's about maybe the levels of qualifications and experience by a majority of the women on one hand, and not having a platform where there are some women who want to lead a quiet life and you never hear about them. They're silent. They're unsung heroes. They've achieved so much, but they don't want to be interviewed. They don't want any publicity of any sort. And then it's also, I think, when you look at our history, the educational history, there's a time when many women were not allowed to go to school. They stayed at home to cook, and our traditions also emphasized the importance of marriage for a woman, and you'd find our parents emphasizing, training girls, preparing them for roles as wives, and that is still happening in some communities, and that's very sad. So you find the girl places more importance on marriage than career. And society looked at single women as, not being complete. Negatively, yes. So that has contributed. But again, when you look at access to education, even from a poverty or from an economic perspective, you'd find in a family where a couple has to decide on which child to send to school, and the opportunities are competing for resources. They would pick a boy. They would say the girl will get married. So historically, there've been these imbalances, and when it comes now to the level where you have to, select somebody to work with. Before you appoint somebody on a board, they must have some level of education, and if that has not been built, it won't be there. Like if you look at some professions, you find there are very few women, even now in this age, there will be very few women in those professions. Many women would go for nursing, they would go for secretarial work, they would go for teaching, and very few would pursue maybe ICT or engineering,
architecture,
or even accountancy. It's only now that we have a number of women pursuing accountancy. So the pool isn't wide where to select from, but at the same time, even the few who are able to perform are hiding. I would say hiding. They haven't been.
Again, is that a normative thing that people have been cultured? Like we always say, women are meant to be seen, not to be heard. So could that be cultural as well that makes them?
Well,
hide?
now I wouldn't say that it's cultural. It was maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
But now women are becoming pronounced as well, and becoming visible. But I think I know that we have a gender policy as a country.
Yes.
And I know that there was affirmative action at some point in education, especially where the girls maybe at grade 7 or grade 9 would be given a lower pass mark so that they access, they advance their education. But I don't think it's a good thing to have that kind of affirmative action where the girls have a lower pass rate. It means they cannot aspire very, very highly.
Yes.
So it's okay to have a leveled playing field, a balance, and then compete on merit. And I'm happy to see that the last year's results for grade 12
girls
and grade 9, yes, the girls excelled.
Yes.
The best results at the secondary school were from a girls' school. Just a girls beat Hillcrest, they beat DK, and these other technical schools. So I think if we just, if we sensitize the girls and the boys and say that, look, opportunities are 50-50. You can do whatever you want. There's nothing meant for boys, nothing meant for for girls. I remember I said I went to the university in 1983 among 18 boys.
18 boys, one girl.
And my grandmother, who was still alive then, when she heard that I'm going to the university, she said, I'll say it in Lozi and translated, na mchana zatu ndani seza skolo choro king asa nyarufera kisikamani, meaning why is she pushing school so much? Why can't she get married like other girls? So there's this perception that no, at some point the girl should get married, and then you find if you want to really excel, your aunties will even say, now you're so learned, which man is going to marry you? Yeah, you must. Who says a university graduate cannot marry a diploma holder or a certificate? So there are these stereotypes that we need to deal with. And I must also mention that research has shown that at a professional level, there are many women who are qualified.
Absolutely.
But when you now advance further to CEO level and board, that's where you find the numbers drop. Sometimes, I must admit, the men can also be selfish. Sometimes they want to appoint just male, men, and I don't know for what reason, but I know that there are many men out there who believe in the empowerment of women and encourage women, just like you, Pastor Jerome. I know that you are passionate about empowering women to lead, and given an opportunity, women make very good leaders.
Absolutely, very good.
They make very good leaders.
Very good transformative leaders.
And they leave an impact.
Yes. Because they are more holistic, and it comes out of their innate quality and nature that we haven't harnessed.
And there's something about women that the men probably don't possess as much. The women have high levels of emotional intelligence. When it comes to decision making, a woman will not just use her head or her mind to decide. They also use their gut.
Their intuition.
They use their intuition. So we tend to sometimes provide better leadership.
In fact, you realize that in a lot of leadership, particularly effective leadership, a lot of the attributes are attributes that are innate to a woman, and sometimes they call them the feminine leadership. But it is not because leadership is masculine or feminine, it is because it carries the softer skills, the empathetic, the intuitive, the ability to multitask, the emotional qualities, emotional intelligence. So women do very well, but unfortunately, because of the way we are cultured, women do not often see themselves because we have generally put them in very stereotypical roles.
That's true.
And gender roles have limited the ability of women to aspire. And when they come into those spaces, sometimes they shudder because they feel this is a man's role. And thank God those are breaking with your work and the work of different women we have talked to.
Yes, and Pastor, I think it's also about the level of confidence exhibited by women. Some women are not confident, even when they have the capability. There are very few women who will say, I'm ready to do this. Or, go out and say, look, can I be appointed to this? So I'm interested in this. we wait for someone to say, oh, I should be able to do this. If I feel I can do it, I should go out there.
Maybe it's because they haven't seen so many. Thank God now, you said things are changing in the last 10 to 15 years. So maybe now they're seeing more women, which is why we are doing Scars to Stars, so that more women can see that women are doing it and women can get out and do more. In your 30 years experience, starting out with 18 to 1, going into our universities, 12 to 1 coming from the East, what would you say your challenges have been in your leadership journey as a woman? What challenges have you faced and how are we overcoming those challenges today? And earlier on we alluded to the SADC protocol of 50-50, but we are saying that even though that protocol is there, which means that every board ought to have 50-50%, we still don't have it. So let's start with, what are the challenges you faced and what can be done to eliminate those challenges? Secondly, how do we begin to capacitate and make women know that there's more opportunities? Because if, for example, you have a parliament that is 80 to 20%, that means women have a 30% to claim. And we have capacity and we have capabilities. We have women that are competent. That means there's more opportunity for women to aspire to reach, to feel that. But we're not taking those opportunities. So how do we begin to, not just by advocacy, because advocacy means...
Okay. For me, I would say some of the challenges I personally have encountered, sometimes the stereotyping itself, first we are looked at as so sometimes it's double.
So that's added.
Yes, it's added. You're African, and then you are sometimes in this multi-racial incentives and remuneration. They are sometimes to get either land or even a bank loan. There's a time when you had to
based on parties instead of caucusing, to see that when we come together we are one. There's only one constituency and that's women. But we divide our base and we don't speak with power because we don't network.
No, we don't.
We don't pull it. You have the women movements, the NGOCCs, the women lobbies, but in decision-making positions, we don't see that happening. How can that change? How do we bring about a change?
I can probably take advantage of this opportunity, Pastor,
yes,
and mention that we've had conversations with some of my colleagues the last several months, and we are thinking, instead of, yes, we have these several groups of women doing different things, and they're doing a great job, but we need impact. How can we create that impact? So we are thinking of coming up with an apex body of all professional bodies that have women. They may even be informal. We look at the women in mining, women in engineering, women in HR.
Will that be a replication? Will that be a replication of what NGOCCs do?
No, NGOCC is in civil society.
Civil society.
And is dealing with women groups.
So you are coming in the professional space.
Professional, but even embracing the informal.
Okay.
So that we then using that, that body.
Power, that
yes,
body.
Using that body, we maybe profile some CVs and float them to people who are appointing. Like if an institution says we're looking for female board members and we can't find them, we profile those who are competent in that area, and also work together, collaborate, and do certain things that will have meaning and impact as we, because the vision is the same really for most of these institutions. Want to empower the girl child and prepare them for leadership, mentor them, coach them, but how can we, do that in an impactful manner?
Yeah.
And as we carry out this work, we also find poverty is a factor in a lot of issues.
Yes.
How do you encourage a girl to lead if she can't even, she has no access to education?
Yes.
So we need to also look at empowerment from that perspective. How can we empower the girls and the young ladies, even financially, so that they are able to
access the opportunities,
they can access
and
opportunities
benefits them.
on their own without relying on a man to sponsor them. Because some of them are indebted to these men for life.
So financial
Yes.
inequalities hinder the woman's progress to aspire. Oh, time. We have about just 7 minutes to go. So in wrapping up, as we wrap this up, because you have another meeting to attend now, what would you say your gains have been in you taking TQM has been very good for you, and it has exposed you to things which probably has attracted a lot of people to receive calling you to be on their boards. What have been your gains as a woman climbing up the executive ladder as a HR practitioner? What did you gain? What culture, what values, what has made you this person, and what have you gained from it?
I've learned a lot from the different people that I've interacted with, and I continue to learn. I think every time
So you're a learner?
I'm a learner. Every time I meet someone, I learn from them, and I work on my own weaknesses and try to turn them from weaknesses to strengths. I've learned to be tolerant. I've learned to be patient as well. I used to be very impatient. And I've seen the beauty of not limiting oneself. I would have said I'm just HR.
Okay.
But there's a part of me that loves engineering as well. There's a part of me that loves accountancy and even law to some extent. So I've found the benefit of interacting with different professionals. I've also found the benefit of believing in the potential of other people. There are times when I'm overwhelmed and I can't do things on my own, and because of the network that I've created, I get support and help from this network. And one of the things I really thank God for is for raising my profile as an individual. I think without the interaction and the experiences that I've had in different institutions, and without learning from people like Mr. Piet Suale, Mr. Leonard Mirongo, I wouldn't have been where I am today.
So you have had a lot of male champions supporting you?
Yes, I have. And they continue to support me. People like Martin Kalungu Panda, I've interacted with him at a professional level, and he's one of Zambia's most brilliant minds. And Martin is somebody who is very busy, but finds time for others. And I've also tried to emulate him in that manner, to find time for other people, and even the young. And when you get to a certain level, sometimes you don't want to brush shoulders with the students and uneducated people who are in the informal sector. But I've tried to, sometimes bring myself to certain levels and find time for others. I've also learned to listen. I used to be a person who, even now, my son complains that I'm too busy, I don't listen to him and things like that. So I've learned to sometimes keep quiet and listen when somebody's talking. And when you communicate so much with people, sometimes you think you know what they want to say, and you interrupt them, and that can be a barrier in communication. So when I'm running training, I research on that training, and as I research, I'm also learning. I find I'm learning from something that I'm teaching others.
You're teaching others.
So I've also learned that it's good to be part of a community or a family, or even a village, because you can't do it alone. And I've learned to trust others as well. There's a time when I would feel that if I don't do it myself, it won't be done properly. So I'd want to do everything, but then I get overwhelmed. And I've learned that, look, no matter how demanding work is, find time for yourself. Find time to reflect, to meditate, and to just break away from everything. Because when you don't have a break, you don't have a balance, you can collapse and die. And I always ask a question, if I'm dealing with stress management, I ask people that, look, if you collapsed and died today, would your employer fail to find the replacement?
Even before the day is over, they feel this.
What about your family? Will your family find the replacement?
They continue.
They can't. Your family won't replace you. So
your family can't replace you.
Think about yourself, think about your family. Push, but work smart.
That's right. Work smart.
Aim to achieve certain things, not just, working blindly, going through things and getting stressed.
Very quickly now, because we know your time is precious. How do we get more women in the boardrooms where decisions are being made? How do we get more women in the top executive offices?
I think we need to profile the women, and when there's an opportunity, I know that in Zambia, normally, I don't know, selection is done by somebody knowing somebody, but if there's some transparent way of appointing people to boards, I think we'll get a lot of women on board. But on our part as women, I think we need to also be proactive. I mentioned the professional hub that we are creating.
Yes.
Through the professional hub, we aim to profile as many CVs of women as possible, capable women, and then offering them. I know Women's Lobby used to do that. I don't know if they do it anymore. There may be institutions out there doing the same thing, and we will find them and work with them, collaborate, and create a pool of resources that not just for boards but even for developmental issues. There are certain national developmental programs that require the input of women.
Yes. Miss Namchana Musiwa, Catherine Musiwa.
I like the way you pronounce my name.
Okay.
Some people have challenges pronouncing Namchana.
Thank you. We really are grateful to you for giving us your time to share with us your journey, your experience, and you've showed us how, very meticulously, how you've come. One of the greatest strengths you have is your TQM background, which I feel that you need to do more training about. We should have seminars, TQM seminars, and make people practitioners. Maybe we'll become Japan. And as efficient
we can
and
become
effective, yes,
better than Japan.
Better than Japan. So there's a lot to learn from you, so much more to learn from you. Thank you for having stood for women and capacitated women. And in the area of HR, you've been a leader for over 30 years. You have helped so many people get their careers going, and you've supported them to reach their space. They have recognized you in different boards. For them to recognize you, UNZA, 5 years, Bank of Zambia, and the different places, professional insurance, there must be qualities all these companies are seeing that are bringing you there as a female leader. So we celebrate you, and Zambia celebrates you, and we look forward to seeing you on bigger boards, more racial, international, multiracial boards representing Zambia.
Amen.
And hopefully Parliament someday. Think about it. It's never too late.
I don't know about Parliament, but anyway.
That's a big board. The board of Zambia, that's where the board sits. They're the ones that sit over Zambia. So maybe you will aspire to that board. But I have not met a woman in Zambia that has been on more boards than you have.
Really?
So I do celebrate that. Maybe you tell me.
I will introduce you to some.
Oh, please, I'd like to meet those. So thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Well, viewers, we have been talking to Miss Namchana Catherine Musiwa. She is a leading lady. She has been a leader in the HR space for over 30 years. She knows many more women that have been more exposed on the board than herself, and she's hoping to show us what she has represented the women on boards of so many organizations, and her experience is what we have learned from. We have heard her say that women go through challenges, gender challenges, financial challenges, a lot of stereotyping and generalization that excludes women. But she says that there is a move to capacitate. The hub, the professional hub, she says probably is a solution that will bring more women to the executive office and to the boardrooms. We hope one day she will join us to pass the baton to the young people in our series Passing the Baton. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow again on another fabulous woman's story when we bring another top female leader on Scars to Stars. Thank you for joining us tonight. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor. Pleasure is mine. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you.